few weeks ago, Josh and I began brainstorming a trip we could take together before the end of shoulder season. After discussing a few different ideas, I remembered we'd never been to Black Canyon of the Gunnison. As soon as I brought it up, he said, "There's good fishing there," and I knew he was on board. So we planned a car camping and backpacking trip to the South Rim for mid-September. We've officially made it to Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. We're doing a little scenic drive before we head to the visitor center just to take a look around, and then we'll go to our campsite we've got for the next 3 days, and then our plan is to go below the rim tomorrow. We're going to do a night of backpacking, hopefully, if we can get a permit. After driving to the park and enjoying a car camping night on Saturday, we woke up at 6 a.m. on Sunday to get one of a limited number of self-serve Inner Canyon permits. After packing up camp, we made our way to the Warner Point trailhead to begin our route. The first mile or so was on a well-maintained trail to Warner Point with incredible views of the San Juans in the distance and the town of Montrose in the valley below. Before long, we were leaving the well-maintained trail and day hikers behind to begin the route down to the bottom of the canyon. At first, it just seemed a little steep, not too different from some of the trails I frequent at home for vert training, but soon, things intensified. I'd forgotten my trekking poles, a massive mistake, so Josh and I each took one of his. I found myself vacillating between relying on it heavily and putting it away completely to get it out of the way while I used my hands to downclimb the steepest sections, and those sections were quite frequent. When I wasn't using my hands, I was taking excruciatingly slow steps to avoid slipping on the steep and loose terrain. While I've hiked stuff this steep before, it's only been for maybe 1/10 of a mile, not close to 3. The terrain made me very grateful for the route finding and off-trail experience I'd had earlier in the summer, which tangibly increased my confidence on this descent. After about 2 hours, the Gunnison River popped back into view, the first time we'd been able to see it since the top of the canyon. It felt close, but I knew if things continued the way they'd been, we still had a good bit of time before truly reaching the bottom. After 40 minutes and some more talus-filled down climbs, things began to flatten out. We swiftly set up camp and broke out the fly fishing poles. We talked to some fishermen who were on the way out who seemed to have mixed results. Josh decided to tie on a hopper dropper and set me up with an indicator rig. His theory was to see what the fish started biting and adjust from there. We were on the river by about 1 and couldn't have asked for a better way to spend an afternoon. We each got bites, but both struggled to bring the fish into the net. The fish all jumped almost immediately, like they knew exactly what to do to get off our barbless hooks. I feel like it always takes me a bit to warm up when I haven't fished in a while, and eventually we each brought in a couple of brown trout. I caught 4 and Josh caught 5 or 6. The Gunnison River in the national park is designated as gold medal water, which means extra regulations and usually extra big fish. We started to see that with an impressive brown Josh caught that he estimated at about 17 inches. We fished until the light began to fade and then ate dinner before turning in for the night. We planned to wake up around 8 and fish for the morning before giving ourselves a reasonable amount of time for what we anticipated would be a strenuous hike out of the canyon. We woke up still in the shadow of the canyon walls. Some faces were just beginning to catch the morning light, and I was grateful, once again, that I'd put in the effort to experience such an incredible place. I was grateful for every decision that led to us being here, fishing in the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, all by ourselves on a beautiful Monday morning in mid-September. We navigated along the banks in the opposite direction as we had the day before, and while I didn't have much luck, Josh was on fire. He caught 2 huge rainbows, affectionately nicknamed GMO bows, potentially due to them breeding with stockers from the 1800s. They're the kind of fish that make you completely forget about the entire hike in. We kept saying we were going to leave since it started to look cloudy, but the waters of the Gunnison kept sucking us back in. I fished one last hole on my way out and was blessed with a final brown trout. Ending on a good note, we agreed it was time to start the hike back out. It did start to drizzle on us as we began the ascent, which was slightly worrying as the huge rocks we had to climb over started to get slick. Luckily, the rain didn't last long and it never became overwhelmingly slippery. I predicted that the hike back out would actually be faster than our descent, due to upward momentum feeling much more secure than the downward momentum. I also generally find it easier to pull myself up things rather than lowering myself down. And I was right. We finished the majority of the climb back out in just under 2 hours. Not to toot our own horns, but we just crushed the climb back out of the canyon. Did it in 2 hours. We're not quite back with the Warner Trail yet, but we're pretty much done with the steep part, and it took us 2 hours. And yesterday the whole thing took us 2 hours and 40 minutes. One last look at the canyon that way. You can see San Juan's over there in the distance. Montrose down there. Alright, so we officially finished the hike in 3 hours. We took another
couple long breaks. We were also way off. We thought we were done with climbing. We probably had like 700 more feet after that. So overall, those 3 hours, when it took us essentially like 2 hours and 40 minutes going down, and I think we definitely could have done that in 3 hours if you had eaten food.
Yeah.
But let it be known, have a snack before you do a 3,000-foot climb.
We notified our families that we were alive and returned to our campsite, feeling accomplished and very grateful for our comfy car camping setup that was sure to provide a good night's sleep.